the Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, Dr. Yaw Bah, is currently speaking.
Friends from the media, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, May Day is indeed a very, very special day for workers and unions all over the world. That is why we, the working people of Ghana, have gathered here in Accra and in all this memorable day. This May Day is very special because it coincides with the centenary celebration of the International Labour Organization. It is important to note that Ghana has been a member of the ILO since 1957. 50 ILO conventions that have provided the basis for the rules, laws, and regulations governing employment in the country. Your Excellency Nana Addo has joined us today with honorable ministers of state to celebrate this important day. We also have with us here Comrade Pedro Gonzalez, the Cuban ambassador to Ghana, Dr. John Ofori Tinkrine, Director General of SNIT, Mr. Hayford Atakrufi, Chief Executive of Ghana Pensions Authority, Comrade Areski Mezud, the Secretary General of Organization of African Trade Union Unity, Brother Daniel Mann of Freddie Cabot Foundation, and other special guests. On behalf of the working people of Ghana, I would like to welcome our special guest of honor, His Excellency President Nana Akufo-Addo, honorable ministers of state, and all our special guests to the National Parade. This year, May Day has provided another opportunity for us to reflect on working and living conditions of millions of Ghanaian workers in both the formal and informal segments of our economy. Mr. President, we still have here in Ghana hundreds of thousands of workers who are paid below the national minimum wage, which is currently just about 270 Ghana cedis per month. Tens of thousands of workers are working as casual employees without employment contracts. In fact, some casual employees have worked for over 10 years. Tens of thousands of workers are denied their fundamental right to join unions because they could be sacked by their anti-union employers if they exercise that right. Telecom companies, hotels, and restaurants are particularly notorious for this unfair labor practice. There are tens of thousands of young men and women who are being denied the right to annual leave and sick leave pay. Some are forced to work overtime without pay. Children are being forced to work in very hazardous conditions on farms, on rivers, and at sea. Some female employees have been denying their reproductive rights to have children because their employment contracts could be terminated if they become pregnant. Unfortunately, some state institutions are guilty of this crime against women. These are but a few of the challenges Ghanaian workers are facing every day in their workplaces. Mr. President, we in organized labor hold the view that these unfair labor practices are being perpetrated by some employers who know that the state institutions such as Factories Inspectorate, Labor Department, and National Labor Commission cannot enforce compliance because they don't have the resources. Mr. President, we are humbly appealing to you and your government to provide the necessary logistical, financial, and human resources to these state institutions to perform their duties effectively. There is also the need for a review of the laws governing employment because the current labor laws are not providing adequate protection for workers of Ghana, particularly in terms of job security, in terms of income security, and in terms of health and safety. We already made a case at the National Tripartite Committee for a review of the labor laws, especially the National Labor Act, to protect the interests of workers of Ghana. We trust that government will provide the necessary support to the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General's Department, and Parliament to facilitate the review process so that we can have a labor law that truly protects workers from the prevailing colonial labor practices in some workplaces. This year, we have decided to draw attention to the lack of access to pension. That is why we have selected the theme, Sustainable Pensions for All. Currently, Ghana's total working age population is estimated at 13 million. Just about 1.5 million of them have access to pension under SSNIT. This means that over 11 million people do not have access to Social Security. This is not acceptable in a rich and proud middle-income country like Ghana. Something has definitely gone wrong in our economic and social policy. Mr. President, we would like to appeal to you to correct this flaw in our social policy. We are expecting concrete plans and a roadmap for universal pension coverage in Ghana in 2020 budget. Mr. President, low coverage is not the only weakness of our social security system. Another weakness is the payment of inadequate pension benefits, especially for pensioners under the SSNIT scheme. Currently, there are about 200,000 pensioners on the SSNIT scheme. It may surprise you to know that about a quarter of these pensioners are receiving just about 300 Ghana cedis per month. This is woefully inadequate, given the health challenges all people have to face. This explains the high incidence of poverty and destitution among pensioners in Ghana. Mr. President, there is another flaw in our social security, that is inequality in pension benefits. We expect that there will be a policy to correct all this during your term of office. Another shortcoming has to do with some kind of discrimination against women in terms of women's access to Social Security. This is another weakness that has to be corrected. These weaknesses in our pension system could be attributed to inherent flaws in the legislation governing Social Security, as well as failure of our social policy to recognize the needs of vulnerable people in our society. Mr. President, this has to be corrected. Pension analysts and actuaries are very quick to point to low salaries in Ghana as the cause of inadequate pension. So in 2017, organized labor constituted a technical committee to investigate the computation of pension benefits. The committee found that, yes, indeed, low level of pay is an important factor. But another important factor which is contributing to low pensions has to do with the way pensions are computed. So in the last 2 years, organized labor has been engaging board and management of SSNIT and MPRA on the computation of Social Security benefits. Mr. President, I'm very pleased to inform you that we are making very good progress. The chairman of the Board of Trustees of SSNIT, Dr. Ado Kufuor, and the Director General of SSNIT, Dr. John Ofori Tinkrine, have been very cooperative. The chairman of the governing board of MPRA, Mr. Paul Simon Granting, and the CEO, Mr. Atakrufi, have demonstrated commitment to dialogue as a means of resolving all pension-related disputes. Organized labor will continue to engage SSNIT and MPRA. We are confident that we can resolve all disputes in the spirit of cooperation, mutual respect, and social partnership. Mr. President, before I shift to another issue, let me mention one factor which is hindering progress in our pension system, and that has to do with the huge government indebtedness to SSNIT and the second-tier occupational pension schemes. We are aware that government transferred over $3 billion to public sector second-tier schemes in 2018. But that was a small step in the right direction. The truth is that government still owes SSNIT and second-tier schemes millions, if not billions, of Ghana cedis. We cannot expect our pension schemes to perform effectively and efficiently if government, which is the single largest employer with over 600,000 workers on its payroll, fails to pay social security contributions. If there is any factor that can lead to the collapse of our pension schemes, it is the persistent non-payment of social security contributions by government. Mr. President, once again, we are appealing to you to change this situation. Mr. President, after your last State of the Nation address, we made a written submission to your office. In that submission, we drew your attention to some issues relating to a new container terminal, which is being constructed by MPS at Tema Port. We understand that Ghana government signed a 35-year contract with MPS in 2015, which will allow MPS to effectively monopolize the activities at the Tema Port when they start operations at the new terminal in June this year. The contract was awarded to MPS without any competitive bidding. Our analysis showed that when the new terminal commences operation in June, with the monopolistic rights given to MPS, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and other operators at the Tema Port are going to lose huge revenues that may lead to the collapse of many container-related businesses. This will translate into massive job losses in the maritime industry. GPHA may declare over 1,400 workers redundant in 2019 alone. Mr. President, if the contract is not reviewed and MPS commences operation in the new terminal in June, Ghana will surely lose millions of US dollars in revenue, in addition to over $800 million granted to MPS in tax concessions as part of this deal. Once again, we would like to humbly appeal to you, Mr. President, to intervene as a matter of urgency to ensure that the contract between Ghana government and MPS is reviewed. We need an agreement which is mutually beneficial and fair to the good people of Ghana. Mr. President, as I approach the end of my statement, I would like to appeal to my fellow Ghanaian workers to continue to work very hard, in spite of all the challenges, to support the President's vision of Ghana Beyond Aid, which is going to be launched here today. Together with our social partners, let us prove to the world that Ghana can manage its own affairs without the intrusion of the International Monetary Fund. Lastly, Mr. President, you will recall that we called on you for your support when Comrade Kwesi Aduamankwa, the current General Secretary of ITUC Africa, was detained in Zimbabwe a couple of weeks ago at the start of a duty tour to solidarize with trade union leaders who are being persecuted by the government of Zimbabwe. As soon as you personally intervened, Mr. President, he was released from detention to continue his work in Zimbabwe. On behalf of my brother Kwesi Aduamankwa and the TUC family, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and your team at the Jubilee House and at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for your support. May the good Lord bless you and your government. In conclusion, Mr. President, what the working people of Ghana are demanding is a renewed social contract that guarantees adequate wages, that guarantees safe working environment, that guarantees universal access to pension, universal workers' right to freedom of association and collective bargaining, that guarantees protection from discrimination and forced labor, as well as total elimination of child labor and forced labor in all forms. We believe that Ghana has what it takes to protect workers' rights and to universal social protection, including universal access to pension, if there is political will to do it. Thank you very much. Long live organized labor. Long live workers' solidarity. Long live Ghana. Chaboy!